Hello guys and welcome to a brand new video. Today I'm here with The Girl I Like Forgot Her Glasses, episode number 11 reaction. Right, the previous episode, it was an episode again with quite a few amounts of progress, and it seems like like the whole what's her name, Mie getting to realize Komura's feelings is kind of like like she realized it, but she doesn't really properly realize it, it seems. So she's kind of like like trying to look at his face and everything, and that's what she's doing. So she made a new rule, which is, I think she said something like, every day I want to like look at your face for like a certain amount of time, and and like stuff like that, and a few other stuff happened, like like her getting her hair stuck and Komura cutting it and all that, and like, yeah, a lot of progress. So let's see what happens in this episode 11. Let us begin. I'll be putting the subtitles and the timer here. Sync it whichever is your preference, and let's begin. Right, here's the countdown. 3, 2, 1, go. What? Who? Is this his mother? Wait, his mother is telling him? What's happening? His mother telling him to get piercing and getting his hair dyed at the age of 13? 13! What? Yo! Okay. What is happening? I'm baffled. Who? Okay. I don't know what to say. Like, I can understand him thinking like, oh, maybe I should get it pierced, because at that age a lot of kids think of that stuff like that to be cool and everything. His mother is telling him to, what is happening? I've never seen anything like this before. At the age of 13, 14? Okay, now, nah. This is baffling. Yo. First of all, wait a minute. His hair is dyed? And not only that, the school allows it? Okay, this is really weird, first of all. Like, I can understand if he's like at least like a middle schooler, not even middle schooler, high school. You know what? Not even high school, after you graduate, I can understand. But, yeah, like, this is. Like, I was surprised seeing his mother telling him to get his ears pierced, and he's like, oh no, I'm not gonna do that. Wow. Okay, yeah, that was. Probably lost her glasses again? I don't know. Oh, contact lenses. Contact. I think so. Yep, there you go. No, wait, what? What is that? Well, okay, here's one thing I don't know. Like, are girls allowed to have piercings at in by the school at that age? I have no idea. Okay, I don't think that is a piercing. Probably like a marble or something. Yeah. What the? Who? I love how she reads the books. Yeah. What's she doing? What? Oh, no, that's not a piercing. That's yeah. Yeah, that was a bead as well, I'm pretty sure. There you go, mystery solved. You could have just asked her. Oh, that makes sense. It's stuffing, like probably a stuffed animal. Yeah. What? Expected completed product. Komura pin cushion. First, I don't think so. No. Yeah. Yeah. Hey yo! Don't bring that needle in the front of your. Okay, I thought she brought the needle in front of his face or something. Oh no, is he going to get. Please don't. At this, I don't know. You know what? You know what? Do whatever you want to. I don't know. Like, it's his choice at the end of the day. But it's still baffling to me at such a young age. Even his mother is like, oh, you can do it. Or his mother is like, oh, do it. Wait, is this what it is nowadays? Does kids at age of 13 have piercing nowadays? I don't know because that it was pretty different when I was 13. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and that is I think that's pretty normal. Yeah. Oh my god. No, Mia cannot be. Oh no, Mia's going to be like, wait a minute. Here we go again. Oh god. No. You'll stay? Well, I knew this was coming. What mercy? Well, she can just contact her family. I don't know. She has a phone, I'm sure. She's like, ah, how dare I? That can never happen. Morning cocoa. Oh boy. Okay. Almost 6. Yeah, curfew. Yeah, that makes sense. Damn. Has she contacted her family? What's happening? Yeah. Whose bag is this? That's a big bag. Oh my god, did she not contact? She didn't contact her family. I think so. 20 missed calls. 3, okay. Okay, you should have contacted your family, like, what? What? What is happening here? He, what are you doing? Why did he hide? Okay, she's gonna contact now. Um, she could have just contacted them, I feel like. I don't know. Oh yeah, these two, they like each other. I forgot. I don't understand one thing. Why did he suddenly hide? Oh my god. You relax. Okay, you know what? Sometimes this kid really baffles me with the things that he does. First of all, I don't understand why did he hide there? He was just working together with her. Okay. Yeah. Oh my god. What a bizarre scene. What's happening? Oh, is she? Yeah. Come on, like what is like just he, first of all, I'm pretty sure she's afraid that she's going home late and now she's going to get a scolding. That's why she was crying there, and also because she wasn't able to meet Komura by the end of it. While this kid is just following, like, okay. Yeah, she could have contacted her. Okay, I feel like he came back. Good god, this kid, sometimes. Just the way she's holding the shoe. Oh yeah, she probably knows about him. Wore them home. Yeah. Okay, there you go. That's a good. Not really. Well, this is awkward. She's like, not really. I love how in most of the animes they just don't show the faces of the parents. I don't know what's up. Oh, it's probably because of. Okay, I'll talk about this later. Yeah, you were actually acting weird, pretty. Like when he went, what? When he went and talked to her later, that was normal. Like, come on. Like sometimes I think, okay, this kid is actually improving, and then he reverts back to his previous self again. Like, all right, yeah, yeah, wow. She's like, oh, you got up your cocoa, fine. Thank God. Uh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank God, indeed. What? Damn. She, cultural festival day. I guess. Wow. What a yellow thread. Yellow thread. Okay. Yes, indeed. But dad allowed it. Oh my god. Ah, there you go. Ah, there you go. Oh. That's just a ball. Yeah. Oh, she's reading the name. Yeah. Stitches. Oh god. Hmm. What? Hmm. Yeah. What? Wait, why is she sitting outside? Um. Hmm. Oh, just like he was reading. What did he write? Music. Oh my gosh, she's again look. Yeah, in the middle of the field. Oh yeah, that's true. Well, just open, take out your glasses then. Problem solved. What is she doing? Oh god. calming. Yeah, what were you expecting? Oh my god. Yeah, even if you have your glasses. I want you to look. Yes, I want you to. Come on. Oh boy. Probably a bit creepy. Oh boy. Uh-huh. Oh boy, I feel like probably that girl saw them. What's her name? Somya, and she'll be like, "Oh, what were you doing?" Hmm? Oh no! But you know what? It's just like my dad. Yeah. Oh boy. What? Well, yeah, probably. Wow. Well, there you go. Like, I've seen a lot of anime main male characters. He's like, I don't know, I don't know what to expect from him. Sometimes he's very forward, straightforward. Sometimes he does some weird crap like what we saw in the whole, that whole thing where they were working together, where he was looking at the phone and then she suddenly hid himself. What? Why? Like, and then she okay, like I that part really I don't understand why he did that. Probably because he saw the phone and I don't know, maybe he got, I don't know, like when he saw that, oh, Mia's coming here, he got scared and like hid himself or something because he was looking at her phone. Is that why? But then, like, okay, at that point I can understand. But why did he not, like, like go in front of her and say goodbye to her? He was just following her throughout the whole, like, yeah, you know what? That's what I'm saying. This kid, sometimes he really does something, like to progress the whole situation. And then sometimes he does stuff like this. Okay, that's it. Like later on, what he does when he goes to her house and like gives her the shoes, that was a good thing. He did it properly, and he was like something he did to it progress the whole, like, whole situation. But before that, he was doing some stuff that I couldn't wrap my hands around why he was doing that. Like, what was the point of, like, it's not as if like he was working together with him and then he suddenly hid himself and then started following her up, like holding her shoes. Like, it's not that they're meeting for the first time and that is why he's embarrassed or anything. They've been like friends for a long time. And okay, I don't know. You know what? That's why I'm saying this kid really sometimes he baffles me. I don't understand how his brain works. I don't understand. It's really. Unusual. Oh my god. Okay, let's talk about this episode. First of all, this episode again kind of progressed the relationship a little bit more, where we get to see in the end Komura gathering his courage and kind of saying something like, "Oh, I also want to look at your face" or something like that. He says and does that, and not only that, the first half of the episode was basically Komura kind of like thinking about how he isn't really like 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 he usually does. He's like, oh, I'm not really like worthy enough or stuff like that, and just like trying to make himself like, this is the thing, he does this thing so much that like it's like he kind of, what, in the end he kind of addresses his own problem. He says it in the end that this, I want to do it, and I want, like, what he does is usually like he's just so into him thinking about the like the the results of what he's going to do. He's like, oh, am I worthy enough to do this? Am I this? Am I that? Is Mia-san going to like this? Is she going to do this? And he abstains himself from taking the correct step just because of his, I guess you could say, his low self confidence, that it backfires and sometimes it actually hurts me. If you see that, like I wouldn't call it hurt, but it actually makes problem, not problem, but like his problem of abstaining himself from doing so many things and just not properly expressing his feelings makes it more difficult for me, and like, kind of, like I said, it kind of hurts her sometimes. And which happens, I wouldn't say like it really hurt this time, but in the end, that whole scene really, I was like, what are you doing? Like, you're following her to her house, and like he could have just went there and given her the shoes, and he on the way, and he could have just been like, you know what, didn't I wasn't able to, like, like, say goodbye to you, so I just came to say goodbye, you know that, instead of just taking her shoes, like thinking of whether I'm worthy of this or not, and am I going to look weird or not. But you are looking weird. You're following her with her shoes in your hand throughout without talking to her, like that. And like, instead of just thinking of all of that, if he just did that, it would have been so much more better, in my opinion. you know like, instead he just follows her, while Mie over there, obviously, like, there was two reasons why she was probably crying in the middle of the road. First of all, that she's afraid of like breaking the curfew. Not only that, she's also the fact that she wasn't able to say goodbye to Komura. I'm pretty sure those two were the reasons why she was feeling bad over there, which could have been avoided if Komura just went and said goodbye to her, or say something like, "Oh, don't worry, like, it'll be fine," you know, something like that. Say some words of encouragement. All of that could have been avoided. But what does this kid do? First of all, he hides himself. Then he starts following her, and with her shoes, when he realizes that she forgot her shoes, and he's like, oh, I'm going to give it to her tomorrow. But then again, like I said, like, he does this weird stuff, and then he does kind of eventually go and do the correct thing, because like, it's weird, like, so weird, like, it takes him so long to properly understand what to do and conquer his, like, like like self-esteem issues, that in that process he hurts Mie sometimes and makes, like, the situation even more complicated, and then he eventually does the right thing. Which is why I'm saying he's so, like, in this, like, department, he's so, like, unusual. Which, again, like I said, it's because of his self-confidence. That is, like, the main problem here. And I don't know, like, I don't understand how at this young age can have someone have this amount of self-confidence issue. Like, yeah, you can be shy, I can understand that, from a very young age. Like, you can be shy from a, like, from when you were a kid, but self-confidence issues, like, that's like a different thing but I guess, if you think about it, shyness and self-confidence issues kind of come hand in hand if you really go deep into it, I guess. Yeah, I guess, what, probably because of that, because of his shyness, and that's why he is, yeah, I guess, because of that. But like the things he ends up doing makes the situation so much more complicated, which could have been avoided. This whole situation could have been like just avoided if he just gave Mia the shoes in the road. Like I don't understand why he hid himself in the first place. Like he looks at the phone, and did he get like scared that Mia was coming in this direction, and he just hides himself? Like what? Why? Also, the fact that Mia actually stayed and broke her curfew for the whole Komura and like that girl. What's her name? I forgot her name. Whatever her name was. Because they were going to stay. So she did that for her, like for that situation. So in the end, not able to meet him and say goodbye to him, probably even depressed her even more. Obviously, he didn't understand that. He couldn't like realize that. But that's why I'm saying, like, it makes the situation so much more complicated, where he could have just taken care of the situation in a matter of seconds. If he just like while she was going, he could have been like, oh wait, this is your shoes and goodbye. If you're going home, like goodbye. Like like I'm also going to go home very soon, something like that. But again, his self confidence issues. He needs to. I'm pretty sure he'll be able to change this. He's young. He has his whole middle school and like high school left, and like he'll definitely be able to slowly change himself and progress in the correct direction. Like again, like I said, he is young and he has a lot of time to self improve. I guess that's what you call it. But yeah, sometimes the stuff he does is so like baffling. I'm just like, what are you doing? Why are you making a situation so much more complicated than it usually is? And then he eventually like fixes it himself, which is again weird. Like he's like a tricky character. Like he does weird stuff, but then he himself like fixes it. So at the end of the day, I guess it's fine. Because he complicates the character and situation, and he himself like just fixes it himself. But still, like during the process of complicating it more, it's just yeah. But anyways, so there you go. Like that part really like was so weird in this whole episode. But then after that, like everything else was pretty like okay. Like them just like in the end, Mie and Komura had a little time, and they just like they like Komura was able to gather more confidence and say something like, "Oh, me too. I also want to look at your face." So there you go. Anyways, yeah, that was this episode. All right, let's talk about this episode in a deeper way and step by step. First of all, another baffling part of this episode was his mother telling him to pierce his ears. I'm like, what? And okay, not only that, he says that you told me to dye my hair, so I did, and it doesn't look. Okay, like I said, I don't know. Is this what people do nowadays? Is this what kids do at the age of 13? Pierces their ears and dyes their hair? Because first of all, it's not that like I've seen so many animes and like like where the schools, first of all, the schools doesn't allow this whole thing, dyeing their hair. The school like heavily reprimands the kids. That's number one. Number two, no parents allow this. Obviously, me, everyone, like here in my place as well, it's not allowed. Like if I said something like I'm going to dye my hair at the age of 13, I don't know what was going to happen to me. Number one, in anime as well, I've seen the same thing as well. Like parents, schools, teachers, everyone, they don't allow it, which is pretty normal at the age of 13. Not even, like just scratch age 13. Even high schoolers are not allowed. I'm pretty sure. Even at that age, parents don't allow it unless and until you're an adult. You cannot do anything to your hair or piercing, whatever. You're an adult. You can take your own decisions. Yeah, fine. Then you can do it. If you want to. But before that, there's like a certain age. Because that's how I know everything goes. I was baffled by this episode. For the first things that happened here is like his own mother is like, "Oh, why don't you pierce it?" Alright, just like let's put aside the whole mother telling him to pierce his ears and like the whole dyeing hair situation. What about the school? He says that his hair is dyed. The school allows this? I- how? What is okay? You know what? This world is weird. I'm think like sometimes I think like what's going on here? Because yeah, like I don't know. I cannot wrap my head around that whole part. Like not only the fact that like like he did it, but also the fact that the school allows it. And the most baffling part is that he doesn't. He's like, oh no, I don't want to do it. Usually, kids are like the ones who are like, oh, I'm going to pierce my ears. It'll look so cool. Oh, I'm going to dye my hair. It looks so cool. He's the one who's like, oh, I don't want to do it. While his mother is like, oh, why don't you do it? Yeah, like I said, this was just crazy. But okay, like from this obviously I can understand that his mother is very casual about these type of things. Like you can see like she's like, yeah, you can do whatever you want to and everything. Like that part is not really like surprising me. The part that is surprising me is that the school allows it. How is that possible? And you know what, now that I look at his hair and now that I think about it, yeah, I guess it is dyed. It's like a yellowish kind of. Wait, is is everyone's hair dyed here in this school? Even Somaya, her hair color is pretty similar to Komura's. So is she also dyeing her hair? I don't know. Like what? Probably the school allows it. Like oh god, that part really caught me off guard. You know what? I'm just going to read it one second just to make sure that I read it correctly. Right. Okay. Let me read. This cultural festival, why don't you get your ears pierced or something for the occasion? And he's like, why though? Because it is your big day. I'm not really doing anything. It doesn't suit me. You told me to dye my hair, so I did it, and it doesn't look good. Yeah, I was pretty correct in reading that whole scene. Yo, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna stop talking about it. Like I said, I don't think I've ever seen any anime do anything. Like every anime I've seen, the students and everything, they are heavily reprimanded if they dye their hair. Like I'm just gonna bring up an example. Toradora, if you have seen it, there was a scene in the like in the I think like in the mid part of the story where Kitamura dyes his hair yellow completely. He was the student council president. No, vice president. Yeah, at that point, I think. Yeah, still the vice president. He dyes his hair completely to go against his parents, the school, and as a little rebellion, like against. Like I'm not going to speak much. There's a reason why he did that, and and I remember. First of all, he had to run away from his home because his dad would beat him otherwise, seeing what he's doing. First of all, his dad or like his parents, and his parents were literally looking for him, and he ran away from his home, and he had to stay in his friend's home, and like who's Ryuji, and Taiga was also there. Ryuji's mom, when she came back, when she see what's going on, she she grabbed Kitamura and she was like, "You two grab him," phoned his parents, and like dyed back his hair, like like took out. I think like did something to take out the color from his hair. He tried to do it at least, and Kitamura ran away, screaming that I don't want to do it, and he wanted to rebel against the whole situation. Even in school, this happened. When he went to school in this, everyone was like, "What the hell is going on?" His student council vice president, whole like position was even in trouble. Everyone's like, what's going on? Why did he like dye his hair? School teachers called him and reprimanded him. So many things happened. And I'm pretty sure that is normal. That is how it should be. This is what I'm saying. This is what happens. So this part, I don't know. This part baffles me. That is what I'm saying. Is this what happens nowadays? Because back when I was 13, I don't think any of this would have gone but you know what? Again, I don't know what goes on nowadays, what kids do nowadays. I have no idea. So maybe this is what happens. But anyways, so yeah, right. So that was the first scene which baffled me completely. Then there was the whole like he goes to his class, and the whole Mie looking for something, and Komura thinks like, oh, it's a piercing, because there was like a little ball she kind of grabs, and she's like, oh, I got it. And Komura thinks that's a piercing, and he's like, oh, I've never seen Mie with a piercing. I wonder how she looks like. So he tries to kind of like look at her ears when she's like looking at his book, but doesn't really see. And then he's still kind of thinking like, oh, I wonder how it is going to look like. And here you can see again, he's just like, his own self-confidence issues, where he's like, oh, why, like, someone like me putting piercings wouldn't look good at all, stuff like that he's thinking. And like here, another thing we need to think about, like, kind of have to realize, is that he's not really putting the piercings because of that he doesn't want it. He's not putting it because he thinks he won't look good, again, which brings in his own self-esteem and self-confidence issues. It's not that he doesn't like putting the piercing or is scared of it. It's because he thinks it wouldn't look good on him or someone like him. Yeah. So here again we can see like his whole self-confidence issue, which kind of gets like, like more prominent in the end of the episode, as we get to see more and more of him, and him hesitating to do the basic thing like saying goodbye to Mie or stuff like that, because he thinks like his self-confidence issues. So after that, he gets to see that Mie had like a cushion, which she's going to put the beads in that she found, and he realized those are not piercings but beads, and she's just going to make something for the school festival. Again, more self-confidence issues. He's like, oh no, like she's doing it so nicely. What am I even doing? I'm just putting in a little ball thing, that whole pin cushion or whatever. I'm not even doing anything. And you know what? I kind of agree with him at this point. He just stitched it and that's it. He did nothing else. So I feel like he should have done at least a little bit more with the pin cushion, just like Mie did. Kind of put in a little bit some pieces of like, like Mie, even Mie didn't do that much. She just put on 2 beads and like, kind of made it like a face. But Komura just like, you know what, this pin cushion, that's all I can do. But yeah, like, I feel like a little bit more could have been better. But still, even if he didn't do anything more, the fact that he is just constantly putting himself down and, like saying something like, oh, like, I can't even do anything. Look at me, I'm just going to put a pin cushion, while she's doing so much, like, like such a, like, creative thing. And yeah, the whole self-confidence issues, like, like we can see more, like it's getting more and more prominent. So okay, after that she's like, oh, look at this, piercing. And she's like, and Komura's like, oh, I'm not going to look good in a piercing. And she's like, oh no, obviously not, and kind of tries to like, put it on his ears and see how he would look like. And then she's like, oh, it's going to look good on you, like piercing. And as soon as Mie says it, he's like, oh, maybe I will, like, and goes back home and just looks at the piercings, like the things. And he's like, one word from Mie can empower me to do anything and can compel me to do anything. Good God. Right. Oh boy. Okay. So after that, you can see the next scene is the whole curfew scene, where Mie is like, oh, my curfew is at 6. And like one thing I can understand from this whole situation is that Komura's, like, parents are very, I guess you could say, they're very like, they let their kids do whatever he wants to, like there's not really that much like, rules and regulation. Like they're like, oh, I probably like, they're very, you can do what you want to. So because here you can see when they were asking like, oh, curfew with what time, he's like, oh, I can stay up until 7, no problem. While Mia's like, oh, I have to go back at 6. And so Mia's family situation I can understand, like by the looks of it. It's more balanced, I guess you could say. Like Mia's mother is very strict, while her father is like very like, like pampering. So which kind of balances it out at the end of the day. I'm not really sure about Komura's father. We haven't really seen him, I think. But Komura's mother, you can see she's very like, like chill about everything. Like she's the one who's encouraging him to get pierced, like his ears. So obviously you can see like she's very chill about everything. So that's why I guess you could say he's very, I guess he has a lot more freedom, which is good, I guess. But I feel like there should be at least a little bit of like rules and regulations. But you know what's good about this whole thing is that Komura is not a type of kid who is going to take advantage of this freedom. That you can look at him and you can tell that he's not that type of kid. So at the end of the day, I guess it kind of balances it out. Like how in Mia's situation, his mother is strict, her mother is strict, and her father is like like very pampering. So it balances it out. For Komura, I don't know about his father, but his mother is very chill about everything. While you can see Komura himself is kind of someone who poses like self-regulations on him. Like, like even though his mother probably wouldn't say anything if he goes home late, he doesn't do that. He goes home at normal time. Yeah, this day it was like, there was the whole situation with the school festival. So he took a decision that, what, let me stay here and help them out. Because, yeah. So he takes his decision and he's pretty, I guess you could say, reasonable in the, like things that he does. He isn't really like, just does whatever the hell he wants to because he has the permission. He's not like that. So, which I guess at the end of the day kind of balances it out because he himself is responsible about that stuff. So yeah. Okay. Anyways, so Komura is like, oh, I can stay, and Somya is like, oh, I can stay as well, and Mie kind of looks at this whole scene, and you know what Somya does? Somya goes to Komura and she's like, oh, what happened to you two? Like, did you kiss? The same questions, and Komura's just getting embarrassed and trying to leave, which Mia sees, and obviously Mia doesn't know what they're talking about, so she's like, what the hell is going on? So seeing this whole scene, she's like, oh, yeah, I can stay. And Komura's like, damn, she's staying. What about her morning cocoa? she won't get it, would she? Now, I feel like here's another thing that, like, Mia kind of made a mistake here. The first thing she should have done is, like, probably phoned home and said something like, you know what, Mom? Yeah, today is, I'm going to go home a little bit late. I think everything would have been fine then. I don't know. But she doesn't really contact her home, which again is like weird because like she goes home, but I guess she's a kid, how, like, she probably didn't realize, um you know but the fact, like, like, obviously, like, her parents will be concerned because she goes home every day at 6, so suddenly one day, like, like 6:30 and she's not coming home. So they tried to contact her and she didn't even, like, her phone was there outside on near the back, so she didn't even hear it. So that was a little bit concerning. So I feel like this could have all been avoided if she just contacted her home. But again, like I said, they're just kids. Like, I guess at the end of the day, she probably didn't understand, like, she had to contact home, or she, like, she should contact home. So, and her husband previous probably preoccupied by the fact that she's, like, breaking the curfew, and here's the thing. At this age, if you remember, breaking a rule that you followed is extremely scary, like at this age especially. Like, the fact that she was like, all right, I'm going to stay here just because of Mia and Somaya, it took a lot of effort from her, and the fact that she's never done something like this before. So, like, this is why I kind of got a little bit frustrated at Komura here in this whole situation, because you have to understand the amount of determination and resolve it took me, Mie, to stay here breaking the curfew, while this kid was acting like an idiot throughout the whole thing. Like in the later scene as well, when he sees the situation and just hides himself, goes throughout the whole path, and while Mia was like crying in the middle of the road, still stays hidden. But at the end of the day, he does kind of redeem himself. But still, that is why I was so frustrated with him here. Because you need to understand how much resolve and how much courage it should have taken for a kid at her age to break a rule that she has always followed. Just because she wanted to stay with Komura. And this kid acts like an idiot throughout the whole scene after that, from that point onwards. So yeah, I was a bit frustrated at Komura here. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Like, just... But yeah, again, we need to understand they're kids. He wouldn't know anything better. And yeah, this is how they will grow up, and they'll understand from their flaws and their faults that they do. They'll understand and they'll make a better decision next time. Like, this is how it goes. This is how kids develop. So yeah, so that's why. Oh god, what the hell. But anyways, yeah, this is the whole scene where she kind of stays with Komura and she's like doing this stuff and she's always like looking at the like like the clock and thinking like, oh no, it's getting late, what's going to happen, mom's going to scold me, like no morning call. you know and you can see how like preoccupied she is. Even Komura kind of comments on how she didn't really do much in this one half an hour. And he's like, oh, should I tell her to go home, but I shouldn't be too persistent. Now here is where everything starts going wrong. He looks at Mia's phone and then looks at like so many like missed calls or like like messages. And Mia's like, oh, where's Komura-kun? And Somya also couldn't find Komura because Komura just hid himself behind the curtain. Here we go. This part was so I don't understand what goes on through this kid's head. Why did he hide himself here? I don't understand. He was just working together with Mie, and after looking at her phone, he just hides himself. Okay, not only that, yeah, at the point of time, maybe like didn't know what to do, so he hid himself. Not only that, he continues hiding himself. Even when Mie looks at her phone and she's like looking at like the missed calls and everything, and she's like, oh, I need to go, like tells those two that, oh, I'm going. She leaves. Komura still is hiding himself, and he's like, yeah, he follows her, okay, and he's like, oh, why am I going after her? It's not like anything I can do right now. And then he just looks at me and trying to get her shoes, couldn't find her shoes, takes his gym shoes and leaves. So, oh, also another thing I realized, another reason why she started crying, because of the whole shoes situation. She wasn't able to properly get her shoes. So not only the fact that she broke the curfew, but also the fact that she didn't get the shoes properly put on. She wasn't able to say goodbye to Komura. All these things probably like just frustrated her in the middle of the road and she started crying. So while this kid is like, oh, I remember myself like still using this, like she took my shoes, this and that, starts following her with the shoes in his hand. And he's like, oh, what should I do? And then even when Mia's crying, he doesn't do anything. He just stays there, hidden. And I'm like, oh my god, like... Yeah, this episode really frustrated me with Komura's actions in this scene especially. Like, just... But again, like I said, he does redeem himself, which is good at the end of the day. But it's just weird. Like, the whole situation was so frustrating. Like, he then almost goes back, and when Mia goes home, her mother is like, oh, what happened? You usually don't like stay late out. Then she's like, come on, come inside and have dinner. And then Komura comes in and Komura tries to redeem the situation by saying something like, oh, like you forgot your shoes, you didn't know where your shoes were, that's why you were late. I realized that, and that's why I came here, which kind of redeems the situation a little bit, helps out Mia as well to get a proper excuse of the whole situation. And her mother's like, oh, that's why you were late. Okay, fine. And yeah, and then she's like, okay, like thanks, like takes the shoes and he leaves. And her mother's like, come home, come inside, have dinner. Oh, so that's why you were late. Okay. And yeah, and he goes back, and the next day you can see Mia's pretty fine about it, and Komura's like, are you okay? And she's like, yeah, it's okay. Everything is fine. And thanks for yesterday. So there you go. Like, yeah, so that is why this whole scene was so frustrating, because the fact like that Mie took so much courage to stay, and again, at that age, breaking a rule is very scary. Like it's extremely scary. I'm pretty sure everyone who has gone through that age, I'm sure everyone has broken one or two rules that were set by their parents. Even I have. And I remember the scene or that type of situation being extremely scary. Not knowing what to do, or what am I going to do, what are my parents going to say, stuff like that. So it takes a lot of courage and a lot of effort at that age to break a rule that you have been following up until then. Not only that, the fact that she wasn't able to say goodbye to Komura in the end, she misput her shoes, everything. It was extremely the whole situation was so difficult for me. So even while doing all, like, like after she did all of that, went through that much, like, like that whole thing, the fact that Komura was could have just avoided all of it by just saying goodbye to her, or at least made the situation a little bit better by saying goodbye to her and helping her with her shoes. And that the fact that he didn't do it at that point of time and just followed her up until home, even when she was crying, he didn't really come out, frustrated me extremely. And I was like, what is wrong with you? But again, they're just kids. We need to keep that in mind. But I feel like even if you're a kid, like, and at that age, like at that point of time, you should, like, when he saw her crying, he could have just come and said something like, "Oh, me, fancy seeing you." But I guess, you know what? No, yeah, you know what? Nah, he should have definitely done that, in my opinion. Like, could have given her the shoes and be like, "Oh, I found the shoes there, and I realized, there you go, and goodbye." Said goodbye to her, and, like, probably would have made the situation so much more better. But he just didn't. But in the end, he does do it. But still, whatever. So yeah, that's why this whole scene was so frustrating. And I can understand one part of thing of this whole, this whole situation. Like I said again, Komura's family, or I don't know about his father, but his mother, you could see, is extremely chill. Even the fact that I'm sure he has a curfew, but his mother probably doesn't tell him anything much if she breaks the curfew. So he has the freedom and the liberation to do kind of what he wants to. So I guess it's pretty difficult for him to understand the fact that, like, when you have a rule or regulation that you'll have to follow, the amount of effort and courage it takes to break it. So Mia's situation, he probably couldn't gauge the amount of courage it took for her to break the curfew and go against her mother's, rules. That he probably wasn't able to gauge that, because I'm pretty sure everyone who have, like I said again, who have had these type of rules set when they were a kid, I'm pretty sure everyone can relate to this. Even I can relate to it. Even I can relate to Mia, where the amount of, like the fear that you will feel at that age if you are breaking a rule that has been set for you, which you have been following up until then. How much courage and how much fear it, it kind of instills, like, I don't know what's going to happen now. I never did anything like this before. Are they going to scold me? What's going to happen? Like, everyone who has had these type of rules and regulations as a child, I'm pretty sure everyone has had these, will be able to relate to this. Unlike Komura, who probably, again, like I said, doesn't have any of those rules and regulations, because it doesn't seem like it. Again, his mother is pretty chill about everything. So seeing that, Komura probably, he could probably just go back home and he'd be like, "Oh, I had something to do, I couldn't," and his mom would be like, "All right, it's fine," like this. So he couldn't probably understand why Mia was, like, you could see, like, when he was seeing Mia, like, looking almost at the clock and everything, he understood what's going on, but he probably wasn't able to properly gauge how much fearful and afraid she is, and couldn't gauge how, and he just hid himself, making the situation even more complicated, because Mia was trying to find Komura, probably to say goodbye to him, but she couldn't find him. But anyways, this part really frustrated me again. But at the end of the day, he does kind of fix it himself, so that's good. So, and then there was the final scene where Mia, like, in the cultural festival, Komura looks at Mia's notebook, and Mia has written, like, "Oh, I wasn't able to get my, I broke the curfew, so my mom denied me from getting the cocoa, but my father allowed it." And so that is perfectly balanced. Like I said, her mother is strict, but her father is pampering. So it kind of balances it out at the end of the day. So, and then later on, they have their stuff, like, presented over there. So Komura goes to Mia's section and sees the little pin, that little thing. And then Mia goes and looks at his pincushion, and you can see, like, Komura's like, "What am I doing? Like, just look at my stuff and look at Mia's stuff." Again, his whole self-confidence issue strikes again. And he's like, "I'm not even worthy enough to just, like my thing is not even worthy enough." But you can see, like, Mia doesn't care about that. The fact that Komura made it in itself is something that is just, that makes her happy. And this is the thing, he puts these weird, hurdles in his own path only, while Mia doesn't care. Mia was just plainly happy to see something that Komura made, while Komura was thinking of stuff like, oh, look at my thing, it's not good enough. What's she going to think? This and that. His whole self confidence thing. While Mia was just happy about the fact that it's something that Komura made. That's just it. Even if it's like just a pincushion. So you can see how Komura like makes this situation and puts hurdles on his own path, while Mia really doesn't care about it. And he needs to get like kind of understand of this whole thing. And you can see while seeing this whole anime, you can see that like in animes you sometimes see like characters, both the characters have something they need to overcome. This anime is pretty clear, like Komura is the person who needs to overcome his own situation, unless and until he wants to make this whole thing work. Unless and until he's able to get his confidence and gain self-confidence, he's going to put hurdles on his own path for his relationship to progress. Mia's not doing anything. Mia's pretty accepting of everything, while Komura's the one who's putting the hurdles or obstacles in his own path. He's the one doing it and stopping in front of it. He's the one putting the hurdle and just stopping and thinking like, oh, am I worthy enough? So he needs to little by little overcome this. Yeah, he's young, he has a lot of time to do that, so he'll be fine, I'm sure of it. Because we can see over little by little he is overcoming it, baby steps. And yeah, and also the fact that sometimes the fact that he puts hurdles on his own path hurts me as well, because she doesn't know what to do, and like misunderstandings happen. We saw that happen before as well one time, and here again in this episode as well, like where he just doesn't really fall, like just keeps following Mie, while Mie was just like didn't know what to do after breaking the curfew. That whole scene. So yeah, now either way, you can see that Mie just goes outside and like sitting, and Komura also goes outside and sits beside Mie. They like kind of talked about the whole thing, and you can see this is like the first step, I guess you could say, where he tried to overcome his own self-confidence issues and his own cowardice, or I don't know if that's what you can say, like his own, I guess you could say, what's that word, his own self-confidence issues and his like his whole self-esteem, and gain a little bit of courage, where he where Mia is like, oh, can I look at your face, and tries to look at his face, and he's like embarrassed. He's like, oh no, what are you doing, and you even have your glasses, you don't want to look at my face. But then Mia's like, okay, you know what, fine, like I'll try to like hold myself back. And Komura's like, it's fine, you don't need to hold back, I don't mind at all, if you want to look. And there you go. And here's where he realizes that again, I'm putting everything on her. It's not only her, but I myself want this whole relationship to continue like this, or maybe progress. So he says that, oh no, again I'm being like my cowardice is acting up, this is not right, it's a cowardly thing to say. And then he says, corrects himself, and he says like, yeah, it's not for her, I need to. And she's like, yeah, I also want to look. And there you go, like he says that he also like he was able to take his step forward here. Up until now he was always like, oh, if you want to look, it's fine, if you want to do this, it's okay. But the fact is that he also wants this to continue. So he realizes that I need to be clear here, not just put everything on her, but to kind of communicate from my part as well. And he does that, and like he kind of peers at Mia's face, and Mia kind of smiles, and yeah. And then she's like, oh, you remind me of my dad. And I'm like, okay, good God. So yeah, there you go. And then in the end, Komura's like, maybe she finds yeah, she did tell me that I'm calming, my face is calming. But maybe something else, not only do I remind her of her dad, but maybe some other feeling she has for me. But yeah, and then they just go back. And when Komura's like, oh, do you think the teacher will be mad at us? And she's like, oh, it's fine, you're with me, so it's okay, I don't mind. So there you go. So that was this episode. So yeah, the middle part of the episode really frustrated me about that whole thing that he pulled, but yeah, at the end of the day, he does himself kind of fix it up, so that's good. I guess, like if you make a mistake or if you make do something like that, if you're able to fix it on your own, I guess that's props to that person. So that's props to Komura in the end. But yeah, that scene was really frustrating because just thinking about the fact that Mie was gathering so much courage to do something like that, at that age, obviously it's scary to break a rule. And Komura was just like hiding himself and like just, like doing his thing. I'm like, come on. Like there's a place and time for everything. Like at least when she started crying in the road, I was like, at least you could come and like at that point of time you could at least come and like help her. Or but no, he just kept himself hidden. But either way, that was this episode number wait, what episode was this? Episode 11? Yeah, episode number 11 of The Girl I Like Forgot Her Glasses. So yeah, if you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to press the like button, subscribe if you're new to the channel or you haven't subscribed. Comment down below anything you want to say, anything you want to let me know. I'll check them out. And yeah, that was it. Thanks for watching. I will see you guys next week with another episode of The Girl I Like Forgot Her Glasses. Until then, goodbye and have a nice day.